While Lord's reform is held up, Parliament remains largely unchanged. We saw a huge upswelling of public anger and frustration, but there remains a huge risk for the political elite that will duck these issues and hope that the anger will go away. Well, maybe it will, but my fear is that it will deepen the pervasive and corrosive contempt towards politicians and politics as a whole. And that matters because it plays into the hands of the far right. It also benefits those who want a weakened state, big business, media barons, mega rich. They don't want politics to reflect the will of the people. Instead, they want a supine, discredited politics that allows them to wield their power undisturbed. So the reform of politics must be one of our tasks. And that's why I've been doing all I can to promote parliamentary modernisation and reform at Westminster. And it's a big job. But these may seem like details, and certainly compared to the real threats our country faces, MPs' expenses or voting systems might look a little petty. But without reform, will the real issues ever be tackled? After all, we've understood the dangers of climate change since at least the 1980s, and yet successive governments and parliaments have done little or nothing. But by the time the rises in food and energy prices really bite, it will be too late. And worse, part of our political inertia is because most of the suffering currently associated with climate change appears to be happening elsewhere. To echo Neville Chamberlain's words, climate change is mostly affecting people in faraway countries of which we know little. Now, such attitudes are wrong, and they also are a betrayal of the fundamental duty of a government to protect its citizens. Climate change knows no borders, and what happens elsewhere will come to affect us all too soon, unless we act now. As Chamberlain's successor, Winston Churchill, had he faced the threat of climate change, would have said, "Action this day." But friends, it's a great pleasure to return to conference and to reconnect with the lifeblood of the party. And the challenges we face are many. But we see, I think, increasingly that they're actually also linked. And they stem from the way the country is run by a political elite, hand in glove with the rich and powerful, be they individuals or corporations. And we see that the other parties are in their different ways unfit to change this. And so we turn to the Greens as the only way we can work with others to challenge these wellsprings of inequality and injustice. The actions of this government are now sending many more of our fellow citizens down the same road that we've travelled. Millions of people seeing that this government is for the few, not the many, for the wealthy, not for those in need. They're seeing that the promises of our political elite are worthless, and that they will resist reform at every turn because it diminishes their power, and that they will neglect the paramount interests of this country to rebuild our society, to promote peace and justice in the world, to protect our climate, because they might just get in the way of making money and preserving their ascendancy. Now, those fellow citizens may well be coming together to fight the consequences of the government's policies, the cuts and the sell-offs, but soon they'll also be coming to see the causes. And that's why the May elections are so important. It's the chance for us to reach out to our fellow citizens and to turn their anger and frustration into support for the positive and principled alternative that we offer. Now, I know that we can do this. And so I'm confident that when we meet again next September, it will be to welcome new councillors and new Assembly members. There is a huge amount of work to do to make that happen. But what will spur us on is the sight of the other parties at local level, in the Assembly, at Westminster, their self-interest, their craven subjection to the power of the market, their determination to sacrifice public services to the pay for the failings of the banks, their inability to respond to crises like international development or climate change. We need better. The country needs better. And they deserve politicians that they can trust. No one else is providing the principled opposition to the three-party consensus. That is our job and our time. Thank you.